Hi there, welcome to Nepi Invest. Time for the very first quarterly update for the March quarter, and that is SciDev, which is actually short for Science Development. Ticker code of this company is SDV. Now, for full disclosure purposes, I am a shareholder of this company, and I have been a shareholder of this company for about 5 to maybe 6 years. And I really like the potential of this company moving forward. Now, before we have a look at the quarterly results, and we'll also have a look at the last two March quarters, just to see how this company has evolved and has progressed over the last 2 years. I'll just talk briefly about what this company does and why I like them. So they are an environmental solutions company focused on water intensive industries. So that's the way I describe this company. They're a water solutions company. So some of their solutions include reusing water, improving operational efficiencies, and reducing environmental footprints. SciDev works with clients across a range of industries, including mining, oil and gas, construction infrastructure, and water treatment. So it's all about water and environmental solutions. So a lot of potential of this company moving forward. So let's have a look at this company's quarter results. But before we have a look at those, let's go back in time and let's have a look at the last two March quarter results for this company. So let's go back to financial year 22. And the thing I'm going to focus on is receipts for customers and operating cash flow. So 2 years ago, the company had $13.7 million of receipts. And although it was quite high receipts, they were operating cash flow negative by 2.6 million. We also can have a look at the year-to-date numbers. So $35.9 million of receipts. And even though that seems quite high, the company was operating cash flow negative by 3.9 million. And you'll notice the cash on hand burning at this point in time. So 2 years ago, and this is just after the share price was at its all-time high, got to over $1 2 years ago, I'd say, and this is not being controversial at all, I'd say the company is in much better place right now at a much lower share price than what it was 2 years ago, just by looking at the March quarter results. So as we transition to the March quarter in financial year 23, things are progressing quite nicely for the company. Quarter receipts up to 20.4 million for the 9 months to date, 69.1 million, and the company operating cash flow positive, $500,000 for the quarter, $2.8 million for the first 9 months of the year. And even though they were slightly operating cash flow positive, cash on hand still falling, fell by 1.3 million because they spent $1.1 million in capital expenditure, and they also repaid some debt, $805,000 in that, and the debt level had been reduced to only 1.26 million. So things moving along quite nicely for SciDev back in the March quarter in financial year 23. Even at this point, the share price was languishing. The market just didn't like this company. Not sure why, because the company was growing their receipts quite nicely, their revenue quite nicely, and they had become operating cash flow positive. Mainly it's the concern around the company still burning through a little bit of cash. They weren't quite free cash flow positive just yet. So let's have a look at the March quarter results for financial year 24, and we might start to understand why all of a sudden the market has become interested in this company. Now let's have a look at the March quarter results, most recent March quarter results for SciDev. And things are progressing really nicely for the company. Receipts for customers in the quarter up to 31.3 million. For the year to date, 76.5 million. But more importantly, the company was operating cash flow positive in this one quarter by $3.8 million. Now, that might sound really fantastical because if you analyze that, that means the company was operating cash flow positive on an analyzed basis of about $15 million. But you have to hold your horses. This could be just one-off because if we look at the year to date, operating cash flow for the first 9 months of the year was only $4.3 million. Now, one of the reasons why the operating cash flow was really good for this particular quarter was because they incorporated a positive reversion of the working capital cycle that was highlighted in the second quarter of financial year 24. So there is a pretty good chance that the next few quarters we won't see that sort of operating cash flow from this company. But the very fact they were operating cash flow positive or are operating cash flow positive by $4.3 million for the first 9 months of the year is a good sign moving forward. Cash on hand increased from 5.8 million to 9.1 million. They didn't spend a lot of money on capital expenditure, so $397,000 there, which means the company was free cash flow positive by about $3.5 million. And they repaid their debt down to zero. And that is quite important. I don't like companies like this to have too much debt, preferably zero debt at that. Now onto the receipts history for SciDev. I've been following this company for a while. It says here started following this company back in 2017, March quarter there, where they only had $450,000 of receipts, and then receipts were flat, relatively flat. They were growing a little bit from $450,000 to $770,000 2.5 years later. But then receipts really started to grow late in 2019 when I really became interested in this company into 2020. We saw REITs get above $1 million in the September quarter 2019 and really take off. So receipts have grown from less than $1 million 5 years ago up to $31.3 million in one quarter. Now, there is a little bit of lumpiness here, but that's okay. The main thing to note is that receipts are growing, and the most recent quarter, the March quarter for financial year 24, was a record quarter in terms of receipts of $31.3 million. And in fact, it was a record quarter by about $5 million. But just being mindful that there was a reason why receipts were a little bit higher in this particular quarter. So don't expect receipts to have another record quarter in the current June quarter. I wouldn't be surprised to see receipts fall a little bit, and that should be the expectations we have as shareholders and the market at large. Now, I've already mentioned the market has become a little bit excited about SciDev since they released these financial results. Share price has gone on a little bit of a tear, increasing from about 27 cents up to around about 40 cents. And the share price, or the chart, does look interesting. Some pretty high volume came in as well on that day. So that operating cash flow really piqued the interest in portions of the market. And I do think there is a potential that the market is getting a little bit ahead of itself. Now, in saying that, the share price of this company back in 2021, 2022 got as high as $1.04. So the share price now is 40 cents. And without doubt, the company is better placed right now than it was back then. It just shows you the change in the market, how they value these sort of companies. Now, SciDev, I think moving forward, will be profitable and will be operating cash flow and free cash flow positive on a continual basis. And that alone, particularly if they continue to grow, those alone should interest portions of the market. We should start to see fund managers becoming interested in this company. And to be honest with you, I don't hear this name mentioned at all in any podcasts, any articles. So in a way, SciDev is flying under the radar. That's another reason I like this company. And at a market cap of about $70 million, or maybe I'm a little bit off there, just have a look right now. Market cap of about 80 million, $75 million. So absolutely right. That's according to TradingView. And I think this company is fairly valued, if not undervalued. That's all I have for this quality update video for SciDev. A pretty good quarter from the company. Now, if this company generated this type of quarter in the current June quarter and then continued that momentum into the September quarter, I wouldn't be surprised to see the share price of this company absolutely take off, and a market cap of about $75 million would look so cheap. But I do think, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a nowhere near a good quarter in the current quarter than they experienced in the March quarter, just because I think the receipts will go down a little bit, and I think the company will be not quite as operating cash flow positive. I still think they will be positive, but not quite as much as $3.8 million. So if you have any questions about this company, love to hear it. So leave it in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for the company, not the company, the video. Have a good day. Bye.